shall I talk about Ladies Wine and Design?
Yes, you should also say what that is, because I always get the name wrong.
Oh yeah, ladies, what is it?
Always say ladies
Wine and
wine.
dine. That would be a good concept too. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Brushing Up. Cody and I are talking about online communities. This is something that we wrote a blog post about, and we have found a lot of benefits. Online communities, creative communities have been really helpful. And it's also the way that we actually met and started doing all of this. So we really want to recommend a few places that have been really helpful for us. And maybe we should start with why creative online communities have been so helpful. What have you found most helpful, Cody?
I think as someone who works from home, anyone can relate to this. You're kind of in a bubble. And so I think online communities and creative communities are really great because they're a place to go to ask questions and to get answers to those questions. A lot of the groups that I'm a part of, they're great for answering any type of question you may have. And everyone's just super supportive. They're a place to find collaborators like we found each other. Yeah, just to get inspiration, gather with like-minded people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. I think especially after the pandemic, like most people, we were stuck inside, and it really was a good time, a good moment to find like-minded people, to find support, and to just not feel as lonely. And I think it just in general, just like me as well, a lot of freelancers work from home, and it can feel really isolating. And as creatives, I think there's so much competition, and we tend to see each other as competitors. And I think we have so much more in common than we think. And it's just really helpful to reach out to other people in communities and find that support. I think that's really important.
Mm-hmm.
As I said, we wrote a blog post about this, right? And there's so many more other communities out there, but we just made a little list of 10 that we found really helpful. Shall I start with the first one?
Yeah, I think the first one is one that you talked a lot about. So yeah, that'd be great to start off with.
Yeah, this is a bit of a combination one of loads together, I guess. And this is one that I also mentioned in the last episode about artificial intelligence. Illustrators Associations in general are really helpful. There's one, the Association of Illustrators in the UK that I put in that list, and then the European Illustrators Forum. And then in the US, there's other ones, right? You've got the Professional Association for Design and the Graphic Artists Guild. And I think they all kind of go in the same category, as in they fight for illustrators' rights, and graphic designers and surface designers, I think, are welcome there as well, obviously. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but I suppose they're like unions, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
They bring up important issues. They don't just talk about inspiration and the creative sides of being an illustrator, but the business side as well. They usually have memberships, but they also have loads of resources available, even if you're not a member, especially around, for example, pricing your projects, working with clients, how to protect your work, that kind of stuff. There's loads of resources out there in these associations that is worth looking at, I think. Do you have anything to add to that little list?
Yeah, I'm actually part of the Graphic Artists Guild. And what I really love about it is that if you're a member, they automatically send you their handbook of pricing and ethical guidelines, which is in itself worth the membership and invaluable. If you ever have a question on pricing, it has all the guidelines for that. It has contracts as well. And if you go on their website, if you're a member, you can log on and download those contracts. So that's really a great resource. They also have meetups. One's called like the Lone Artist, and they lobby on your behalf, the government, for your rights. So yeah, it's just a really great organization to be a part of. And I've been part of it off and on, but this year I've become a little bit more involved. But it's just a really great community, just in terms of knowing your rights, getting answers to those pricing questions and those legal contracts, and just if you want to get more involved with the community there, you can. They send a weekly or monthly, at least, a newsletter on their events and everything.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds great. I think it's also a really nice way, these associations, to come into contact with other people, like obviously for networking, because a lot of these associations, they work with other ones. So they connect to each other globally, which is really nice. And I was going to mention as well that the Association of Illustrators in the UK, their website has a list of all the smaller organizations in the UK, and then they list all just anything that's relevant for illustrators, any kind of event, webinars and markets and local draw evenings, just anything from big to small is on that website, which is really helpful. So if you are looking for a community, like wherever you are, there will be an association of some kind that will fight for illustrators' rights and have all that information out there. We obviously just know the ones that we're part of, Europe and US, but there's loads.
Yeah.
The next one is the Quentin Blake Center for Illustration. This is going to be one of my favorite places ever, I think, or favorite communities. This has only just been in the works. So Quentin Blake is the illustrator for the Roald Dahl books, and he started an illustration center in central London, but they're still kind of building it. They're still renovating the space, and I think it's going to open in 2025 is the plan. And it's going to be this big center for everything about illustration, which is really exciting. They have a website, but they have a bunch of like online events. They do online courses, webinars. They have loads and loads of resources for illustrators, for teachers, educational stuff too. And when was it? In November, for the first time, they did a National Illustration Day or Illustrators Day. I have to look it up now. And I think they're gonna like make that even bigger next year and the year after with their physical space as well. So especially if you're looking for resources and want to find out about more courses, you should check this out. And I'm definitely excited to visit the space once it's ready.
That sounds so awesome. I love Quentin Blake's illustration. So if I'm ever in London, that's where I want to be. Definitely make that sounds so cool.
Me too. I love his work. I actually met him like 20 years ago, and he inspired me to become an illustrator. I have his signature in his book. And it's really nice. I mean, he's still going strong. It's amazing. And this space is just, I think, all that like love and passion for illustration put into this space. And I think it's going to be a really nice place for people to come together in the creative industry.
Yeah, it sounds like it'll be a special place, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The next one on the list is the Art Brand Alliance. This one I've been a part of around this time last year, at the end of 2022. It's at this time only invite only, and most of the ones that we're listing today are free. Some of them are paid for. This is one of those that at this time you do have to pay for. And I did ask the founder if eventually it would not be invite only, and she said that they will. That's something they're going to work towards transitioning to. But I guess just for this initial phase in the beginning, it's just invite only for now. But I really have been liking this space because the idea is that it's going to be a library of information that the members all contribute to. Kind of, it sounds a little, now that I think about it, like a Wikipedia, but for creatives. And they have all kinds of different groups for all different types of interests. Like there's a licensing group, there's a children's book publishing group, a whole business, legal group, anything they can kind of think of with creativity. They have it, and you can just ask a question. They have like brand ambassadors that answer questions, but they will also tie in things that from other members as well. Like anyone can comment, but it's like kind of built around like idea of you're building your art brand. So there are like groups about branding. They have really great events and workshops, and a critique group that you can participate in, like studio time if you want to just sign up for that and join to work on stuff at the same time as everyone else. So it's pretty cool. I haven't even dived in as much as I really would like to, but the one workshop I did attend and the couple times that I have asked questions, I found it really a great resource. So something I would recommend checking out.
Yeah, I attended one of their events a couple of months ago, I think, because they do like free webinars to kind of promote what they're doing as well. But even those were extremely helpful. I think it was with Illustrator, what's her name? Lisa Condon? Condon? Is that her name?
Yeah, Condon.
I'm not sure. And she gave really interesting insights about her work and working with clients, and that was all free to attend. So if that's something that is of interest to people, keep in mind that they do sometimes have free events to attend, free webinars, which is super interesting to look into. The next one is Discord, and this one isn't so much a community, but more a platform that you can use. And I just really wanted to mention this one because I just started using it a few months ago. And Discord is just a place, it's like a social media, I guess. It's a nice tool to set up a group for free that can host streams and events and where you can chat to each other. And it's just a really helpful tool to build your own community. So you can look around for, we have a couple in the list, like links that are helpful to look for different illustrators communities. Most of these are just set up by people themselves. So for example, there's one for Adobe Illustrator where people have weekly chats. There's one, Lissy's Art Garden, I think, where people do giveaways and do weekly art challenges and stuff like that. And it's just a nice tool to keep track of different communities you want to be part of.
Yeah, I haven't really looked into Discord at all, but it sounds like it's kind of the place to go if you are almost like anti-social media, want to like get a little bit away from
Yeah,
those big
that's a good one.
company platforms.
Yeah. Because I mean, if you think about online communities, maybe the first thing you think of is like Instagram or TikTok, and it's like, no, we don't want to talk about those. That's not helpful.
Yeah.
Stuff like this is way more helpful where you feel like you're a bit more in control. It's not just about sharing videos, but it's really talking to each other. A lot of the stuff that we're talking about is very text-based as well. I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just helpful, I guess.
Yeah. The next one is Clubhouse. I'm not sure if this one is still invite only, but it's basically like an app on your phone. You have all these like little houses that you can join, and once you're in the actual invited to the Clubhouse app, you can join any of these houses based on your interests. So I have like art licensing and creative business tips and all kinds of different houses that you can join based on your interests. And basically you just go in. A lot of times it's done by like a certain time that the host will plan a topic, a conversation, and just like you're in there and you're like a fly on the wall. But you can raise your hand in the app, and if you want to join in, you can join in the discussion or not. And then you can also go back on previous conversations and listen to it as well. So it's kind of interesting. I've listened in on a couple of things that I found really interesting about like in the moment type discussions, like about trade shows and just different topics of interest. But yeah, it's pretty interesting, like different concept of social media that you wouldn't really think of that I haven't seen out there.
Yeah, I suppose that this is the closest to social media that we have in the list, but a very different type of context, I guess, and a way to have meaningful conversations that you can have with people with the same interest. That sounds really interesting. And the next one, shall I talk about Ladies Wine and Design?
Yes, you should also say what that is, because I always get the name wrong.
Oh yeah, ladies, what was it?
Always say ladies
Wine and dine. That would be a good concept too. No, this one is specifically women and non-binary people that work in design, graphic design, illustration, animation, whatever, anything in the creative worlds, basically. And this was set up by Jessica Walsh, who is an art director in the US, I believe. And it's basically, you can set it up in any city. And I got into contact with it here in Madrid before the pandemic. And it's usually a monthly event. And it's not, I mean, it's a physical event, but it usually continues like in an online space, an online community, where you have certain speakers and you usually have, there's wine involved, which is fun. and there's networking, and it's just a really nice way to come in contact with local communities. And I've definitely had recommendations from other people. I've done networking there and like getting in contact with people that need work and finding clients that way, and met other people. It was really fun. It's a good concept. And if you live in a slightly bigger city, definitely check out if there are ladies wine and design events in your city. I'm going to go straight to the next one then, because it's very similar actually. Typethursday is kind of the same thing, but it's mostly around people that work in lettering and typography, calligraphy, sign painting, anything to do with letters. I also got in contact with this type of event in Madrid, where I live. They do this in different cities as well. So this is also usually a monthly or a seasonal, a quarterly event where people in the industry speak and you get to know other people in the industry. There's usually some drinks involved. And yeah, it's a really nice way to be nerdy and talk about letters, basically, which is nice. And I was asked right before the pandemic to give a presentation as well at Typethursday in Madrid. And what I did is just talk about my process and sort of behind the scenes stuff about my work. And it was really fun to see that from other artists as well. Because it's such a small community, it's usually no more than 30, 40 people sitting in the room. I don't know how the other events are. I don't only know Madrid. And you're all talking about such a specific thing that artists are really willing to share their personal stories and how their projects went. And you get just a really interesting insight into how people work. It's a great way to meet other people in the industry too.
Sounds like those local ones are really great for like feeling a little bit more comfortable and getting to know people, like networking a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It makes it easier when you're talking about something very specific, especially for people who maybe feel a little bit timid and don't really know how to do networking, don't know anyone in a city, don't know where to start. When you can at least talk about something you all have in common, like a creative community, it makes it so much easier. For me, I'm not a native Spanish speaker, so for me it was a big deal to go to a networking event like this where people only speak Spanish. And I did my presentation in Spanish, and it was awful. Like, I hope everybody understood me, but I'm not sure. But it was easier because you're talking about stuff that you're talking about visuals and you can show those and people understand. So yeah, that's my way of saying, like, find those kind of local events and just go to them and see how it goes. You have something in common to talk about. So
Yes, definitely. Okay, so the next one on our list is Jennifer Nelson's Advice for Artists. She has a Facebook group and a newsletter. I recommend both. The newsletter is great. It's kind of seems like it's more quarterly than it is monthly, but what they do send out is really great advice, and you can subscribe to that. We have the link to subscribe on the blog post. And the Facebook group is how me and Claire met, which is really awesome. And it's like one of the best groups, I think, online that I've joined. And any question you may have about anything, it seems like you could find the answer to. And if it's been asked before, no, there's always someone who will answer it for you again, doesn't mind. And it's just a really active group and really supportive and really big group too. It's great that it's such a supportive big group as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, this is the group that we met, and we talked about this before, right? Like it's a really good reason to still keep Facebook, because otherwise I probably wouldn't have it anymore. But this group is so helpful and so active compared to so many Facebook groups that are not doing that well, or kind of, I don't know, disappearing, I guess. That's what it feels like a bit lately, the past year. But I've even sent people to this group that have asked me, potential clients, like, how do I work with an artist? What do I ask? What do I do? I don't know. I've advised people to just ask in their group and people will help you out. It's such a supportive community. It's great.
It's pretty much the only reason I'm on Facebook as well. Like at one point I closed my Facebook account and then I realized, oh no, I won't be part of that group.
This group.
That's pretty much why I signed back up again. I have no friends, but like that's really the only reason why I want Facebook anymore, is just for the groups, and particularly that group. So it's just a really great group to keep in touch with. I think the next one's Slack. Do you want to talk about that?
Slack is, again, same thing with Discord. It's not really a community per se, it's just a tool to build your community. But I use it quite a lot for Skillshare, because I teach on Skillshare. There's a production team of teachers. We have like weekly chats in Slack. That's where the Skillshare community is. And I'm also in a little YouTube accountability group where we help each other make videos, and they have meetings sometimes as well. Slack is just a really good tool to build that kind of community if you ever wanted to set that up. And I think it started as a way for companies, like small groups of people, to be able to stay in contact and organize meetings and organize projects and stuff. But it's really helpful to set up your community, and you've sort of got this bar on the side on the left where you have hashtags, and those are then the specific groups that or themes that you can go into and talk to other people about, which is helpful. And the problem is with Slack that it's difficult to actually look for communities, because it's sort of an invite only type of thing. So I added one link in the blog post where you can find different creative communities on Slack that probably will accept you, but again, you kind of have to see if they're closed or open. And if you wanted to set up something yourself, or of a group, then yeah, you need to be invited basically. But it's a really useful tool for communities for sure. You also use Slack, right?
Yeah, I'm only part of one community, the Minted artist community. I've done a couple Minted challenge. They used to have a forum and then they moved it over to Slack. So I'm part of that, but only just a little bit, because I don't really participate in the Minted challenges as much anymore. So, but from what I've noticed just through that, it seemed like a great way of like communicating very easily if you have a question.
Yeah.
And also breaking it down into topics from there based on what you're wanting to talk about and ask questions about.
Mm-hmm. I think what I'm thinking about now as well with something like Slack or Discord, what I like about those compared to, let's say, social media, Facebook or Instagram, is that they are open communities. You do usually need an account, or you need to be part of a group, but you can just link it to your email. You can get notified. You don't need to go in to see everything. So it doesn't require you to be active all the time. There is no algorithm. I mean, maybe that speaks for itself, but it's just like there's no pressure. It feels so easy to just be part of something, and you don't feel like you have to be active to be part of it. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? With like Instagram, like you kind of have to be there for the algorithm to see you and to be in contact with the people. If not, you just drop off. And this is just an easy way where everyone is equal and you can just start a discussion.
Yeah, that's true. Like it doesn't matter. It's not algorithm based.
Exactly. Yeah,
that's a word.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can, whenever you have a question or anything like that, it'll show up in everyone who's logged in at the time, or it gives you notifications and if you missed anything. So it's very similar to like if you're getting a notification on your phone, it's going to tell you if you've not read any. So it's kind of like the same concept, but like on an app that's community based type of thing. Yeah, it is a lot like text based. It reminds me of a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. And also nothing disappears, right? Like that, everything that you talk about is now information that's in that community, which is great. So you can just search for anything that you need and it will be in there, which is really good. Lastly, Creative Mornings. Tell me, because there is a Creative Mornings thing here and I haven't attended yet. So
yeah, so I actually have never attended one in person. I came across this during the pandemic. And so everything had to go virtual. And so I attended one of their virtual, they call them virtual field trips. And I just got so much out of it. I think her name is Portia Oblong, and she did a LinkedIn glow up virtual field trip. And I just learned so much about LinkedIn in that. And founded by Tina Roth Eisenberg, who's the founder of Swiss Miss. And she's the one who started all this. And it seems like it's very spread across a lot of cities have it now, but they have strict criteria on setting one up. I've heard that the in-person events are like really different from a lot of other networking type events that other people have attended in the past. I can't say because I've never attended one in person, but based on just the virtual field trip, I believe it because it really was a really great resource and invaluable during the pandemic when I attended it. And premise is that once a month there's a speaker that they choose and it's based around a theme, and you all go on, it's usually a Friday morning, and you go and there's like donuts and some type of breakfast item, and you listen to the speaker, and then there's usually a networking type portion of it at the end, or I think even before. But yeah, I would love to at some point. I just haven't been able to make it based on my schedule, but it would be interesting to go at some point if I could make it at some point.
Yeah, no, it sounds really nice actually. And I think it seems to be focused on professionals mostly.
Mm-hmm.
And that might make it a bit different from a lot of other creative communities that are a bit more about, you can be a hobbyist and it can just be about creating and that's it. Whereas this feels a bit more about, entrepreneurs, freelancing, the business side of creative industries as well. So that's interesting. That might be a lot of valuable information there going around. So good for networking too.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they still have those virtual field trips as well. And yeah, when you join, you get your own like profile page, and you can upload it and with your picture and details and stuff like that. So whichever one's like closest to you that you can join. So yeah, it sounds pretty cool. I definitely want to like look into it a little bit more.
And that's actually all of them.
That's it. Yeah. I would love to hear if anyone else has any others that they recommend. If you could leave a comment below.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, this is just 10 of them, and we're obviously a little bit more in the, surface design, illustration, lettering sphere. But I've heard people talk about, amazing animation communities and typography communities and calligraphy. I don't know, I guess graphic design communities, whatever. All of those are really helpful and just really important to be part of. You don't have to obviously be part of all of them. It's such a nice way to meet people, to be part of something. And I think people don't realize that a lot of these smaller communities, whether they're online or offline, we talked a bit about both actually, they're always looking for collaborators and people that can help with presentations. Because I was really like kind of not shocked, but humbled. I don't know. No, that's not the right word. I don't know what to say. With Typethursday, when they contacted me to do a presentation, I was like, me? About what? Like, I don't know. But you always have something valuable to share with other people. So don't be scared to also like reach out to other people and, have something to offer to the community, because it would be very helpful for everyone. And it's a nice way to introduce yourself and for people to know your name. And please share your other communities as well with us. We're always, on the lookout for like new places and new pages that we can become part of. So I think that's pretty much it. Please check out the blog post as well, because we have some more info there and all the links to all the places that you can check out. And perhaps in the future, we'll have some more to add to that. Who knows? Stay tuned for another episode of Brushing Up.
Oh, what was I going to say? I totally lost my train of thought.
It's gone.
It's gone. Being in a community is good.
Yes, conclusion. It's good. Go do it. Go out there.